the season, so like every 2 months or whatever, they'll have a bigger episode with a pay-per-view type of feel to it. And that first one is coming up, I believe, next week. Do not miss it. Aztec Warfare on Lucha Underground, the El Rey Network. Watch it! Alright, and then in WWE, we are only 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks away from WrestleMania. The first Sunday here in April will be WrestleMania Sunday. We'll definitely be watching it at my house, as we always do. We'll be excited for it to an extent, but we definitely are not excited and feeling the way we normally do when we're this close to WrestleMania. Normally when we're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania, we're super excited. We can't wait. We got these matchups and these storylines that we're stoked for. And this year, unless you're just a mindless moron wrestling fan, which quite a few of us are, don't get me wrong. Unless you're one of those, you can't possibly be excited about this WrestleMania at all. The title match, lame. Triple H versus Roman Reigns, bad guy that's old and part-time versus good guy that's not very good, and most people with a brain don't. Alright, I have no idea where I freaking left off. I thought I was recording there. But anyway, in WWE, we're 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. We're not as excited about it as we usually are. The storylines and the matchups just are lame. Not a WrestleMania match card at all. I'm sure we'll get plenty of entertainment yet out of it, but just insulting to the intelligent fan completely. We got Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar in a street fight. That'll be entertaining, but they're both good guys, so stupid. You've got Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in the biggest match of the night, where if Undertaker wins, then Shane has to give Vince the key to his box of dirt that he holds on him. If Shane beats Undertaker, then the authority's no more and Shane's in charge. They're both good guys. Who are we supposed to cheer for in that situation? It just doesn't make any sense. We got a really lame U.S. title for a newly turned heel Ryback challenging Kalisto. I guarantee they're going to hand that title over to Ryback. Not sure what they're doing with the tag match yet. Divas title match will probably be the best match of the whole night. It's a triple threat with Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and champion Charlotte. Sasha Banks better win that. And then, like I said, the title match with Roman Reigns, the good guy that most people don't like, versus Triple H, the champion, who's a old guy, part-timer, mostly retired, that everyone's going to end up cheering for. But, anyway, we'll keep you posted on WrestleMania. Like I said, we're still going to watch it, we're still going to enjoy it, but compared to the WrestleMania standard that WWE has set for us, it's very unlikely that it lives up to our standards. And speaking of WrestleMania standards, as soon as we are done with it within a few weeks, we probably won't get it done before WrestleMania preview extravaganza episode here in 2 weeks. But we will have it done sometime within the next month or two. Our list of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, right here from Balls Deep Sports Talk, comprised by me, Scotty Ball, and my exclusive WWE expert guru extraordinaire, the one and only Doug Sanders. We have been watching hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of old WrestleManias over the past several months, giving them all a rating. And we will unveil for you here sometime within the next month or two what the greatest WrestleManias of all time are. So stay tuned to that. And not sure if, like I said, I don't know where the thing cut out. I just noticed it wasn't recording when I thought it was. But again, congratulations to new Lucha Underground Trios champs again, Ivelisse, Angelico, and Son of Havoc. And congratulations to the third ever Lucha Underground champion, singles champion, Phoenix, who defeated Mil Muertes. Alright, well that's going to do it for all of our topics. So that means all we've got left is Balls Deep Thought of the Day. And for this week's Balls Deep Thought of the Day, we are going to finish what we started last week. Last week, our Balls Deep Thought of the Day was inspired by the retirement of Peyton Manning and got us to thinking, where does Peyton Manning rank on the all-time greatest quarterbacks list? And we discussed possible criteria that one can have for that, how you can prioritize individual talent and skill and statistics, you can prioritize team success and championships, you can prioritize longevity, you can prioritize consistency, whatever it is for you. I try to take all these things into account, incorporate, a healthy prioritized balance based off of what I think and what I believe And that's all I can do. That's all we can ask anyone to do. But where we left off with our balls deep thought of the day last week is no matter who you are, you cannot rank Peyton Manning lower than 12th on the all-time greatest quarterbacks of all time list. Because the only argument that people can make against Peyton Manning is his lack of postseason success or lack of Super Bowl rings. Well, Peyton Manning is the only player to ever win a Super Bowl ring, being the starting quarterback of 2 different teams. So he's got that going for him. And he's the 12th quarterback ever to win multiple Super Bowls. So if that's your argument, you can't rank him worse than 12th. That's where we left off. This week we're going to finish it out, and I'm going to give you where Peyton Manning ranks all time amongst the NFL great quarterbacks, and the other couple people then either behind him, in front of him, or both. So now I guess the only question for me that remains is, do I count them down from like the top 10 or top 5 to 1, or do I count up from 1 and go that way? I don't know. Let's think for a second. Alright, I've decided how we're going to do it. You are going to get the official Scotty Ball top 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time, excuse me, because we are not factoring in anything that these people did in their college careers or in CFL careers or anything that wasn't the NFL, or I should say anything that wasn't American professional football, to be exact. Alright, so just a quick starter, our honorable mentions in no particular order. And some of these are going to surprise you, that they did not make the top 10. So the top 15, like I said, in no particular order on the 5 through 11, would be Otto Graham, who really, it's a decade style issue with him. You could put him as high as 1, honestly, if you wanted to. But the game he played, anyway, he's an honorable mention. I don't want to get into it. Otto Graham, Dan Fouts, Warren Moon, Roger Staubach, and Steve Young. Like I said, and Young, Staubach, Fouts, and Moon, I all considered getting into the top 10 here, but I just couldn't quite do it. So there's your honorable mentions that would make it a top 15. But so here we go officially in order. Scotty Ball's top 10 greatest NFL or American pro football quarterbacks of all time, factoring in individual talent and statistics, including, Super Bowl rings, championship success, incorporating the role that a player has on their team. All kinds of stuff factored in here. Everything we can think of factored in. Okay, here we go. Number 10 is Terry. Did you know that 1 in 3 people will get shingles? Bradshaw. That's right. Former quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, won 4 Super Bowls. This guy is on here because of his success. From an actual talent lighting up the scoreboard standpoint, his numbers are good, but they're not up there with a lot of these other guys. But he was a winner. He was tough as nails. He made Hall of Famers out of, other guys on those offenses like Lynn Swann and frickin' Stallworth and, Franco Harris, and just, he was the original Troy Aikman. Really, he was the first Troy Aikman. Yeah, there we go. Terry Bradshaw was the first Troy Aikman, but he won another Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Aikman got 4. I'm pretty sure Aikman had 3. But so from a sheer success, how do you argue with success standpoint, and 4 Super Bowl rings, being the starting quarterback of maybe the greatest dynasty in NFL history, there you go. You're number 10. You start the list. Congratulations, Terry. If you've had chicken pox, the shingles virus is already inside of you. Bradshaw. Moving on to number 9. Although he is a Packer, we don't hold that against him here in this list. No, not that one. The first one, the original, Bart Starr. That's right, Bart Starr winning the first 2 Super Bowls for the Green Bay Packers, being their dynasty guy, really kind of, I don't know, just being one of the first big superstar quarterbacks. Bart Starr ends up at number 9. He was a better thrower of the ball than Terry Bradshaw. That's why he edges him out in a spot, where Bradshaw had more Super Bowls and stuff. Starr was a better at playing quarterback. Starr resulted in more wins for his team than Bradshaw did, in my opinion. Moving on to the 8th greatest pro quarterback of all time, should make many of my fellow friends and neighbors and relatives happy, the one and only Fran Tarkington. Fran Tarkington went to 4 Super Bowls, 3 or 4 Super Bowls. I'm not sure if he was the quarterback on all 4 Super Bowl teams. I think he was, though. Pretty sure. Really kind of revolutionized the position in a scrambling, or modernized, I should say, not necessarily revolutionized, but modernized the position in a way of a dual threat. Just because he didn't win a Super Bowl, getting to 4 Super Bowls and being the offense, that's where he edges out the other 2 and ends up at number 8, was not only from a talent standpoint, he was better than the other 2 on the field, as well as some success to go along with it, just not the ultimate success. He played such a huge role. I mean, he was the offense of the Minnesota Vikings for every year that he was the starting quarterback. That's it. He was the offense. So that's why he gets 8. Moving on to number 7, the greatest quarterback of all time to never win a Super Bowl, Mr. Dan Marino, and that's why he's number 7. Had Marino won a Super Bowl, he would definitely be, I think, a Super Bowl still might not get him in the top 5 on this list, but had he won 2 Super Bowls or more, he would definitely be in the top 3, I would say, for sure. Yeah, he'd have a chance at number 1, actually, if he had won 2 or more. If he had won multiple Super Bowls, he'd have a chance to be number 1 greatest of all time. Winning 1 Super Bowl, I don't even know if it moves him up on the chart or not. But so Dan Marino ends up being number 7, and just above him was the man to first break all of his records, that being the one and only number 4 from Green Bay and a brief period with the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings, Brett Favre. Now, I could have actually put Favre down on this list, possibly, debatably. A lot of people would put him higher, but I think any higher than 6 for Favre is overrated. And here's why. Favre only won 1 Super Bowl. 1 Super Bowl. Guy won the MVP 4 times, what was a record before Peyton Manning got his 5th. And you're going to say he's the greatest, or maybe the 2nd greatest? No. Dude was a huge role on his team. Okay, dude had huge individual statistics, but the team did not have the team success that almost all of these other guys have, with the exception of Marino. And he made so many plays that lost his team games. Really, when it was clutch time, he's remembered for all this game-winning stuff, but that was all regular season stuff. Playoff time, he was known as the guy who threw the game-losing interception. So that's where he ends up, just outside of the top 5, at number 6 greatest quarterback of all time, Brett Favre. So that brings us to our top 5, and in the number 5 spot, kicking it off, is the man who inspired this list in the first place, this Balls Deep Thought of the Day. Peyton Manning. Won multiple Super Bowls. Owns every individual statistical passing record that there is, breaking all of Favre's for yards and touchdowns and completions and games won. Favre has 1 record left, and that's his Iron Man record that he got, but that's pretty much the only thing he's number 1 in. He won more Super Bowls than Favre. He won more MVPs than Favre. The only knock on Peyton Manning is all the playoff losses that he did have. 9 times in his career, he was one and done, 0-1 in the playoffs. 9 times. That's insane. So if his overall playoff body of work was better, maybe not even the championships, but just the overall body of work, I think you could maybe make an argument for Manning in the top 3. But with all that negative and failure,